really want to dive in and make the most of this. We're talking about making career transitions quickly, if possible. 90 days, sometimes faster. And sometimes, depending on your situation, you may not want to make it that fast because you've got some things and you want to be kind of choosy and just sort of go the slow route. And that's fine too. But either way, we're going to talk about principles that you can apply that can be helpful no matter your situation. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. And as we get started, I want to ask, I'm going to do this throughout the session because I want to continue to make this a discussion, not a lecture. Okay, so throughout these, I'll do a quick chat, and we may or may not use the chat box. Sometimes we may just make this a live discussion where you can unmute and share your thoughts here. But make sure you're muted when you're not talking, if you can. And then we'll do these where I ask a question, I do these kind of countdown and go 3, 2, 1, and then you submit whatever your answer is in the chat box. So as we start, I want to start off right here at the beginning for all of you to say, hey, what value could I share with others? Something that I've learned that's been really helpful for me. I love this question. What's one of the best pieces of career advice you've ever received? My hope here is that in the first couple of minutes, that all of you can get some significant value, even if your internet craps out and you leave or you have to leave early or whatever, like just these first couple of minutes, you can get something out of this. So all of you type and answer this question into the chat. What's one of the best pieces of career advice you've ever received? And then I'll give you 10, 15 seconds to type that out. And then you can submit that into the chat and we'll see all the stuff come through. Okay. And we can talk through some of those things if we want. But your goal is to provide value to someone else because someone else is going to be providing some value and insight for you. All right, let's go ahead and submit those in 3, 2, 1, go. See what comes in. Raul was just saying, read your contract, know your obligations. Always be looking to use new skills at a higher level or a different location. Thanks, Bart. Glenn, drink 2 cups of shut the crap up before you go to work. Sometimes that's necessary. Keep your mouth shut. Yeah, very good. And any others, anyone else who wants to share, go on and do that. But interesting, even just the few responses that we got here, completely different ones, right? In different situations, we need these different concepts. And so my hope is that we can do this throughout the session and learn and grow together instead of just me talking at you. Okay. If we haven't met yet, I know I've met a number of you. I do leadership and career development work primarily for engineers. Written a couple of books, The Intentional Engineer, The Intentional Career Guide to Professional Networking. My background is in tech, mechanical engineering and software development, manufacturing, and then engineering leadership. But on the personal side, I'm a father of 4 beautiful kids. Love getting outside. I've become very interested in my future retirement sport of pickleball in my not retirement years. But really what we're talking about today is helping engineers unlock possibility and potential and create change. And that's what I'm hoping for you to get. As we start here, I want to just share a quick story. I want to tell you about Jay. Jay's one of the first people I ever worked with years ago. Okay. We met in 2020. He had graduated with a master's degree, come over from India, came and got a master's degree, graduated in 2019. But for about 8 months, there were some visa issues, paperwork, signature issues that he couldn't legally work in the US during that time. So that finally cleared up in February of 2020. And we know what happened in March. The pandemic hit. And so a lot of the mechanical engineering jobs just completely shut down for the next little bit, or were really hard to get. So he was dealing with crippling student loans. He was working minimum wage at a gas station, getting paid under the table so that he could keep the lights on and have a roof over his head. And talk about like a misallocation of resources, someone with a master's engineering degree and he's working at a gas station. Like it just wasn't right. And so he was, and there were some mental and mindset challenges he was dealing with too. And because some of those challenges led to depression and some of those things that happen as well. But we worked together and we worked through some of the same principles I'm going to talk about today. He ended up with 3 job offers that came in around the same time. He's now thriving. He told me just about a year into his new job that he bought his dream car. He had a vision board that he had created and he bought his dream car. He was really excited about that. He got his first promotion in 8 months and he's had 2 more since then in the next few years. So he's really accelerating and growing since that time. And more great success. And every time I talk to him, he's just in a completely different world, mentally, emotionally, and professionally than he was when we first met just a few years ago. So that's what I'm hoping for you. Legal disclosure, like I can't guarantee any results or anything like that, but that's some of the stuff that's possible. And that was just a really early career situation. So I want to ask, where's your career? I'm not talking about number of years of experience or what your role or title is on the corporate ladder or anything like that. This is a model I've created and used, and it's in my intentional engineer book. It's a different sort of ladder. I want you to look at these different levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And ask yourself, where are you right now? Some of you may be unemployed and looking for that next thing, feeling overlooked, right? Some might be lightly employed, and so in your survival mode, just doing what's obligatory. And that is worthwhile, and that's honorable to do that for a time, right? Obviously, it's not where you want to stay. A good chunk of people I talk to are in this level 3. They're paid and disengaged because engineers typically get paid well. They've just kind of been opportunistic, but they're kind of disengaged, not really loving where they're at. And they sense that something could be better if they could make a shift. The dividing line here is getting to more intentionality, usually more satisfaction, joy, productivity, usually more money, financial opportunities when we can be in that space because we're focused on purposeful growth. And even beyond that, maybe we can think about how can we be even more impactful beyond just ourselves and our own satisfaction to dig into our life's work as well. So where are you right now? I would love for you to just type in the chat and share just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are you at in your career right now? Let's go ahead and put that in. Yeah, interesting mix. Got some kind of 4s in there, 1 and 4, which is an interesting combo. Love to dig into that a little bit more. 3, 2s and 3s, yeah. And I want to say, like, no matter where you're at right now, I don't care as much as, okay, do you see how you can slightly move through here with an increased level of intention? So my promise as we move through today is you're going to have some clear actions and adjustment you need to make this intentional career transition or upgrade to move up a level or be that much more intentional, even if you're at a 4 or a 5 right now. And we're going to do this through the lens of what I call the next level engineering career formula and teach you some ways you can apply it. My invitation as we continue forward is for you to be present, okay? To engage with the session, eliminate other distractions. Don't be doing other things because you've given yourself this time. So be here, be present, take notes, and identify actions that you can take based on what we talked about today. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're not going to do anything with this, you just got new information, but it's going to be thrown out with the next YouTube video you watch or something, or the next Netflix show that you watch, right? So actively participate and see what's possible for you, okay? I do and will share towards the end an opportunity for a few people to work with me one-on-one. Some of the people here are already doing that, but my hope is that you'll get value on this session either way, whether or not you decide to do that, okay? So hopefully you're ready. Let's dive in and start building this next level engineering career formula. So there are 4 parts to this, and we're going to build it from the bottom up, okay? And so we start with a foundation. Raul here is a construction guy. He knows that a building has to be have to have a solid foundation. I believe our careers do as well, okay? The things that I believe really solidify a strong career foundation are three things. Our positive mindsets, how we see ourselves and other people, our opportunities and challenges, having clarity about where we're going and what's most important to us, and having a strong personal brand, knowing how to clearly communicate who we are and what we bring to the table and the value that we deliver. We have those three things. We're in a pretty solid spot foundationally as we build our career. Okay. And it doesn't take a civil engineer or a structural engineer to to know, like, hey, what happens without a foundation? Not good things. I see this in the career space of people driven by fear, like they don't take action because they're afraid, or they take action in fear, and people can sense that, and it doesn't go very well. Okay, so fear is a significant driving factor for them. They have some unhelpful internal beliefs, maybe things like, I'm not good enough to do X, Y, and Z, and that leads to imposter syndrome or other things. Sometimes that goes back to the fear and it keeps them from taking action that might be helpful. There may be other beliefs too. This is just an example of one of them. They don't have that personal brand, so they can't clearly communicate your value. Like, well, I can do engineering and I can do this software and I can do this sort of analysis and I have a degree, and like, that's cool. But what problems can you solve for me? Can you tell me that? What problems have you solved in the past? How can you showcase what you've done and how you prove that you've got the skills that I'm looking for to solve some of these problems? Okay. And then that leads to people getting frustrated, and this is what breaks my heart, when they stop trying. Okay. So maybe some of this might sound familiar at different times in your life or career, right? Maybe you're there now, or maybe you've just been there before. I know I have at times. And it's a tough place to be. It doesn't feel good, and it carries a weight with it. Okay. But if we can flip it, we can build that strong foundation. Good things happen. Our mindsets are in a different way. We see challenges and opportunities. We can see as opportunities to grow. Okay. We have clarity for where we're headed and why, and those things that are most important to us. We have a higher confidence. We take action. We have a personal brand that communicates our value and what we can deliver to others. So here's just a few questions that you might consider as kind of a filter to say, hey, where's my foundation at right now? And if you can answer these well, it might be a good indicator that you've got a solid foundation. If you struggle with some of these questions, it's an indicator that there's some work to do. And that's okay too. Like, we can work on this. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay. So I have confidence to make this career shift that I want to make. Okay. What are the most important things to me as I move towards a new role? Can you answer that question? Can you not? That's an indicator. What are my greatest skills, strengths, and passions that could provide unique value to a potential employer? Can you communicate that? Could you tell me in 30 seconds? If not, that's something to work on. Am I willing to do what it takes and get out of my comfort zone? Okay. Instead of being driven by fear, and lean into some of that discomfort. Okay. If you can answer these questions well, you're maybe in a good spot. If not, there's some work to do. That's okay. So let's do a little bit of work here. Again, these are the three main areas to build the foundation. We're going to focus just a little bit more on one of these. Like, we could go for a whole hour on every single one of these things, but we're just going to go a little bit more on this one, and that's career clarity. Okay. Career clarity does not mean that you have the next 20, 30 years of your career all mapped out. Even 5 or 10 is difficult. And like, there's like this magical treasure map, and X marks the spot, and you know every step along the way that you're going to take to get there. That's not what it means. Instead, career clarity is a direction that you're headed, that you're pretty clear about, a set of values that you want to hold to, with a purpose behind that. Okay. And what we do is we iterate in that direction. Okay. So I have a mechanical engineering background, so I represent that here with some 3D printed prototypes. Okay. So these are prototypes we're iterating towards an eventual final product, but I don't think that we are ever a finished product in our lives. We're always iterating forward. Even a finished product that goes to market, gets put on a machine, or gets sold to the public, there's still the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. How many iPhones have we had? Well, one every single year, plus multiple variations of them, right? We're always iterating forward, and we do the same in our life and our career. What's the next iteration? And that's what career clarity, it drives us towards the iterations and the experiments we want to take. You can almost think about it like a simplified scientific method. I have a hypothesis. I have something I want to try. Can I run an experiment that will give me data and let me know if I like this, if I can succeed at this? We can analyze, collect the data, and then run another experiment, with another hypothesis, right? Can act as a North Star, like, hey, this is the direction I'm headed, while also acting as a filter to say, hey, these are the things I've identified are my values and things that are really important to me. So some of these things that I might have previously considered, I'm not going to consider that anymore because they're not in alignment with that, right? And that's cool too. It can really help us focus and hone things in. So I want to do a quick activity. I hope you got somewhere to take notes. That it might be helpful. Get out a journal, or I will allow you to open up a note app on your phone or something if you want, if that's what you got. But we're going to take 60 seconds or so. Okay. And I want you to write about non-negotiables. Talking about making career transitions. So when you think about the next role or opportunity or transition or upgrade, what are the things that are non-negotiable for you? And I don't want you to talk about the things that you don't want, although that's good to clarify. I want you to talk about the things that you do want to be true. The type of culture, the type of autonomy, the type of growth you want to experience, the type of team you'd love to work with. If there's locations that would be really exciting to you. Okay. Now, some of those might be nice to haves. Let's focus first on the non-negotiables. Something that if it wasn't true, you would say no to it and you wouldn't even consider it. Okay. It's good to clarify these things. And then bonus, if these things are so important to you as non-negotiables, it's good to also say, hey, why is this so important to you? And look at that. Okay. And then what you can do, you can use these ideas, these non-negotiables, as some of your intentions, and also as that filter we talked about, as you move through opportunities and consider what's next. Okay. I'm going to give you 60 seconds or so to consider this and just write about that. And then we'll see what came up. Okay. All right. About 30 more seconds or so. Very good. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I know 60 seconds, once you really get into it, doesn't feel like very long. Well, my hope is that just to get you started, get you a little momentum, and this is something you can continue forward on, maybe after our session today, if that's something you want to dig into a little bit more. But is anyone willing to, just for a couple moments, to share, hey, what came up for you? What did you notice? What did you write down? Any non-negotiables? You can even just share one of them. Go ahead, Raul.
Yeah, I think non-negotiable is anything that interferes. I'm at the point in my life, I guess, where a lot of people would probably retire, and I'm still hanging in there, if you will. But
Yeah.
anything that interferes with my love of physical training and
Mm,
family life, quite
yeah,
frankly.
yeah,
That's the balance that I thought has been helpful in my last couple of years. So anything that
yeah,
interferes with that is non-negotiable.
yeah. So health and relationships are paramount to you right now.
Yes,
And
yes,
so if work got in the way of that, then it would not be fulfilling your purpose and would be taking away from that. So
correct,
that's great
correct.
to be able to identify that, because some roles totally would and would take over your life. And you would only consider roles that would be in alignment with those things for you at this stage of life. That's fantastic to know.
Yep.
Excellent. Cool. That's a great example. It's a great example. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. So we've built the foundation with mindsets, clarity, and personal branding. And obviously, there's a lot more that we could get into there. But the next layer in the formula is strategy. Okay. And this is like, what do you do? Now you've built the foundation. What do you do to actually get some traction in the job search and the career transition process? And some of the things that are key here, and this is where a lot of people start, things like networking, LinkedIn, and resumes, right? But some people do them and not so well. And so we actually need to make sure we've got the right strategy. Okay. Because if we, and well, first of all, have a strategy, we want it to be a good strategy and ideally a strategy that's different than others. Because what happens without a strategy is you get inconclusive results. Okay. And I want to illustrate this with using a brief story from British naval history, of all things, which I think is interesting. Okay. So think back to the early 1800s. The prevailing tactics for naval warfare was for two opposing fleets to come at each other in parallel lines and get really close and fire their guns off the side of the boats, right? Probably seen some movies where they do some of this, right? Okay. But this actually led to inconclusive results because you essentially had the same chance as the opponent as long as you could get your shots off, because you passed them in parallel. They were point blank shots at that point. So it was basically the bigger ship or the bigger fleet would win no matter how well trained they were, as long as they were decently trained. But the British fleet had a situation where they were massively outnumbered. This was a battle called the Battle of Trafalgar. The admiral, his name was Horatio Nelson. They were outnumbered at least 2-1, and it might have been 3-1 because it was a combined armada of French and Spanish ships that Napoleon had actually ordered to disrupt British commerce. The British fleet was the best trained navy in the world at the time. His captains and men were excellent, but he realized that because he was so outnumbered, unless he changed tactics, he was still going to lose. Okay. So he had to have a different strategy. So you can see from the background photo a little bit, essentially what he did. Instead of going parallel, he went perpendicular to the enemy armada. And this is something that the combined Franco-Spanish armada was not used to. So he split his fleet into two lines and they went perpendicular. And he wagered that because his ships were much better trained and could maneuver and adjust differently and much better, they would be able to have an advantage, even though they started with a severe outnumbered disadvantage. And here's what happened. He was proved right. The French and Spanish lost 22 of their ships, which is about 2/3 of their fleet. And the British lost 0 ships during this. It's crazy. But a different strategy led to different results. Okay. So sometimes a great strategy can turn challenges into opportunities. We could talk about multiple stories like this. It allows you to do things differently than other people do. Thus, you get different and better results and gives you the tools to succeed. So I want you to think about this in the context of, hey, I'm trying to find a new job or something like this. What do you think, just using statistics, what do you think is the average number of applications that are submitted for a corporate job posting? What do you think that number is? Just throw the number into the chat. We don't need to do the countdown. We'll just put the number in. Is it 100? Is it 500? Is it 1,000? Somewhere in between. Okay, seeing 1,000, I'm seeing 50. And obviously I mean, what you are seeing, it depends on the type of role, the type of company, how competitive that is. It goes up and down with market forces and all that stuff. So it could be any of these. I'm seeing 1,050, 2,000, right? The data shows that the average across all corporate job postings is 250. Okay. So when you think about this, if only one of them, well, gets the job and about 5 maybe get an interview, it's about a 2% chance of getting an interview and a 1% chance of getting, or less than 0.5% chance actually, of getting a job. Okay, which isn't great, which means on average that you'd have to put in about 250 resumes to get a job. And that's if all things are equal. And we know that not all things are equal because some people know other people and get references and networking and all that stuff, right? So if you're like, hey, I haven't gotten a job or I'm not getting interviews, have you put in 250 applications? Have you put in 500? You put in 1,000? You might need to, if that's the only way that you're going. And I talked to someone today, he's put in 1,000 applications and he's only gotten 5 interviews out of those, and only 1 went to a second round, and still no job over like 8 or 9 months. Okay. And I hear stories like that all the time. Do you even want to put in that many applications? I know I wouldn't. So I consider this to be a bad career strategy when all you do is to search LinkedIn and Indeed and job boards for hours. You apply, hope for the best. I call it spray and pray. And maybe you might go an extra mile and find a recruiter at that company and say, hey, I applied for this job. I'd be excited to work with you. Can I have an interview, please? But unsurprisingly, that gets very little response. And so and this is what's crazy to me, is that even though this keeps not working, people still keep doing it because it feels like doing something. Oh yeah, I put another 10 applications again today. Yeah, okay, you've been doing that forever and it's not working. This is the definition of insanity. It's attributed to Einstein, although it's unclear if Einstein actually said it, but we'll just go with it. That doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But I don't think any of you are insane, which is why you're here and you're trying to look for ways to do things differently. On the flip side, good career strategy. There's just one of many. Use your foundation, your clarified personal brand, to optimize your LinkedIn and your resume. Identify companies that you're interested in working for and that align with your purpose and values, that clarity that you got. And proactively reach out to connect with people in those companies, seeking for conversations called information interviews to build relationships, not just say, hey, can you help me find a job in your company? Okay. And build those relationships, which will then lead to advocates getting you more interviews and refreshing your career in a different way. Okay. It's just one strategy. There's a lot of other things we could talk about, but this is one good career strategy that is much more effective over and over and over again than just putting in hundreds of job applications. I promise you, is a strategic networking approach. Okay. So strategy matters. The tip of the pyramid after foundation strategy is execution. This is like, what do we do when we get those opportunities? Because we need to interview well and we need to negotiate the offers. Because the last thing you'd want to do is have a job interview and be unprepared and underperform and waste that opportunity. Okay. Because you didn't do any research on the company. You didn't prep for the types of questions and the people that you'd be meeting, the requirements of the role, and how to connect that with your skills and your personal brand. Okay, that'd be terrible. And I've talked to plenty of people who've had that experience. You don't want to get a job offer and just say, yes, I'll take it, boom, without even thinking about what's a fair market wage? What are the other factors? Can I negotiate? In fact, the crazy thing is that 80% of even seasoned executives, the research says, leave money on the table in workplace negotiations. So if we're not negotiating all the time, we're probably leaving money on the table too. And this, over the course of our career, can result in millions of dollars we miss out on. Okay. But don't let this be you. We want to execute well. This can lead to making the most of all our opportunities, don't want to have that regret, but also maximizing the transition to something that's not just good, but it's great, be as great as it can be, because we're negotiating our salary, but also sometimes we can negotiate more time off, increase workplace flexibility, different kinds of benefits or equity in the company or other things, right? So think about just these two things, and let's put them on a matrix. Okay, we've got negotiation skills and interview skills. Interviews on the horizontal, negotiation skills on the vertical axis. Okay, and these 4 different quadrants. I want you to look at these 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do you think you're at right now in that quadrant 4? Maybe you can get jobs, but you're often underpaid, which then gets you feeling resentful. 3, just minimal opportunities. 2, hey, you're often overqualified. Okay, you can negotiate when you get there, but they're like, we don't really want you around. We might have to take a step back. Ideally, we'd love to be number 1. So yeah, just throw in the chat, which of these 4 quadrants do you think you're at? And again, this isn't a knock on you. It's just saying, hey, let's just get real with myself. And how can I shift more towards that quadrant 1 with getting better at both of these, okay? Raul's been doing this a long time. He and I work together on a lot of this as well. And so he's feeling good about it. That's great. Couple people in quadrant 3. Yeah. Okay, great. Again, don't need to feel terrible about it, but it's just acknowledging, and okay, that helps you know where to work on things. Great. So let me just give you one example. Change his name, but I'll call him James. He was an experienced civil engineer. He was a professional engineer. He had big career goals. He was pretty ambitious. And he was working at a company, been there for a few years, but he had a different company reach out to him with an opportunity because he was utilizing technology in a different way than most civil engineers were at the time. Okay. And this other company was really excited to utilize that a little bit more. And so he wanted to explore the company and maybe negotiate because they really wanted to hire him. But he also very much cared about his existing relationships and keeping those intact at his current company. He didn't want to burn bridges. He loved the people where he was at, but he also wanted to continue to grow. Okay. So we adjusted his approach. Okay. And this is focused especially on negotiations. We got down to the things that are most important to him about making this career transition. We got some more clarity, and we put together a negotiation plan, types of conversations he was going to have, and targets that he was shooting for, and ways that he could communicate that. In his particular case, he accepted a new offer with a higher growth trajectory of growth in this new company and an immediate $20,000 raise, which is a big deal for him at the time. And he's grown even more since then. And we also, in this, planned out how to have the, hey, I'm leaving discussion with his current job, and leave well, leave gracefully. Okay. So it's not just, hey, can you get the most money? But can we do this in a way that actually builds relationships, makes it a win-win for you and everyone else involved? Negotiation, just talking about this, is a collaborative experience. It's not an I win when you lose situation. It's a collaboration. Okay. So we built so hopefully you see, okay, these are just some of the things that could be possible if I can get better at these things, the negotiations or the interviews or both. Okay. Now on to the last piece of our formula, and that's support. And this surrounds the entire 3-piece pyramid strategy. And this isn't a pyramid scheme, it's just a pyramid model. Okay. And we need to have support because it's really hard to do any significant change in our lives alone. And career transitions are no different. And so I find that having community, having some coaching and mentoring can be a huge, huge deal as you move through stuff like this, which is one of the reasons why I love to do this. We need support as humans. We're social beings, even if you don't want to admit to that as an engineer or tech professional, because we can have a tendency to get stuck in our own heads. I know I do it a long time. We need to say, hey, it's below the neck. Let's feel into our bodies and our hearts a little bit more than just all of our smart thinking brains. and get stuck in the analysis paralysis that can get us all tied up and whatnot. And if we can connect with others in a shared experience, it can help us not feel so alone. And it can get us taking more action and making more progress. We don't stay stuck. Okay. We need support. It's exhausting physically, it's emotionally draining a lot of times. There's a lot of rejection inherent in the career transition process. And again, I'm just a believer that nothing in life should be done completely alone. At least big changes if we can. We just need trusted people on our team. So here's just a few things to consider when you're looking for someone to support you through this. You would ideally have someone who has successfully helped others navigate through similar stuff as you're trying to do, have some personal experience in the industry you're in and know a lot of people there, have contacts in that industry, get you connected insider information in some cases, and certainly give you the resources, time, and attention that you need to make sure you don't stay stuck along the way, because that can be difficult. Things to avoid when you're looking for a mentor or coach: someone with no previous experience, no results they can back up, little to no experience in your industry, and a network less influential than your own, or simply just someone who's going to give you ideas and not actually help you take action and implement them. Okay, just a few things to consider. So these could be personal friends, people that you know at work, or other coworkers, or certainly you can pay for a coaching service or something like that too, which is part of what I like to offer to people if they need that, right? So looking at the whole thing, and I know this is a lot: foundation, strategy, execution, support. When you put all that together, I promise you things are going to accelerate for you. You're going to make some real progress. So look at this and say, hey, I don't need to do everything right now, but say, where in the foundation do I really need to shore up and strengthen? What about my strategy might need to shift? On the execution side, negotiations, interviews, what's most important right now? Do I have community support? Do I have any coaching or mentoring right now? And the whole point of just considering this is saying, what actions can I take? What can I do about this? Okay, so that I can accelerate my process. Okay, so I hope that you feel like I kept my promise. I told you I'd give you some actions and adjustments that you need to make an intentional career transition. So I really hope that you feel like I did that. But, are you all good from here? Maybe it's kind of a yes and no. If you're familiar, Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in the world, famous investor, could explain investing in one sentence. And I can understand this: buy low, sell high, and only invest in things you understand. But really, I haven't become a multi-billionaire yet. And it's the details that make all the difference. And he knows how to execute on that. So I gave you the whole process in this case. And I didn't hold anything back, but we also didn't have time to go over every single detail. And certainly not every single detail as it applies to you, because you are different than everyone else in here and everyone else that I've ever worked with. Okay. But what I find over and over, that people who succeed are the ones who are committed to the process and finding the answers, even when there are challenges, things may not look great, and even if they have to invest in things for it. So here's just some things you need to figure out. Like, what direction do you want to take your career? How do you show your personal brand and communicate that value? How do you craft a great resume and LinkedIn profile? How do you get recruiters and hiring managers to actually talk to you instead of blow you off over and over and over again? How do you get more of those interview opportunities instead of one every few months? How about one a week? How about multiple every week? It'd be amazing. How to negotiate your offer? And where can you find the mentoring and support you need? These are just a few questions. And then certainly everything else that you don't know about this process. Okay. These are some things you have to figure out. How many of these things have you figured out and how many haven't you? And you can go on this road and continue to figure this out for yourself, or I'd love to help. I can show you the entire system and process that's helped many engineers like you get life-changing career upgrades. In fact, I recently ran the numbers and found that people worked with me program got new job opportunities 40% faster than the average, and increased compensation by 20%, up to, I've had people double their salaries in a few cases. crazy. But even outside of those numbers, it's all aligned with their career foundation, their mindsets, and their intentions, things that are most important to them. Okay. So I want to just give you the opportunity. If this is something that you feel like you need some extra help on, then let's talk. And we can do that by going to jeff-perry.com/schedule-call, and we can set up a time to talk about this. If you want to apply to the Engineering Career Accelerator program, which is my in-depth coaching program that take people through, we can see if you're a good fit and if I believe that I can help you specifically. I don't invite every single person I talk to join because I want to be really sure that I know that I can help them in their particular circumstances, which is why we need to have this conversation. Okay. So let me throw that link in the chat real quick. You're welcome to go book that right now if you want. And think about, hey, we can move your career ladder. If you're feeling in there at 1, 2, 3, let's get you up to 4 or 5. Or if you're feeling 4, how do we sustain that and make that look differently in a different phase of life? Okay. So you have a choice. I think about basic physics, Newtonian physics, an object at rest will stay at rest unless it's acted upon by an outside force. So if you are like feeling at rest in your career in some way, like you're out of a job or you're feeling stuck in a job that you hate, or no isn't right for you, or you're feeling limited progress that you're making, or you just know that something needs to change, but you don't know how to do it, or even what that is because you don't have that clarity, you can stay at rest. You can choose to do that. Or one choice you could make is join the Engineering Career Accelerator program with me, and that can be that outside force to accelerate your career. Okay, so here's what to do next. Just use the link that I threw it in the chat to schedule a call. We're going to set up a time to talk with me personally. You'll see my availability, and it's limited. In fact, I'm going on vacation early next week. So ideally the next few days while I'm still here, we do that, and then we can jump right into things about the beginning of August in real detail. And we'll discuss your unique challenges and goals. Okay. And if we're a good fit, great. We'll design a package specifically for you and what you need. And we'll get rolling on it if that's something of interest to you. Okay. So I want to have some time for Q&A. We've got 10, 15 minutes because I know we talked about a lot and I went pretty quickly, but I also want to spend some time personalizing things to you and what you need. And also give you time if you haven't already, and I can check my email to see who has booked a time with me in the next few days if we haven't already talked. So feel free to do that. And also you can throw questions into the chat, or if you have other questions, feel free to unmute and let's talk about it. Let's see if we can work together to solve a big problem that you're dealing with. So who's got something they want to talk about and something that we want to flesh out some more based on what we talked about today, or something different that we didn't get to today because it's a different thing that you're dealing with. We'd love to talk through that. And I am just here in service of you at this point.
I do have a question.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah,
So-
great to have you. First of all, Cody, where are you joining us from?
I'm from Utah.
Okay, great. What part of Utah? I grew up there.
I'm in Woods Cross, Bountiful area.
Yeah, great. Beautiful area.
Okay.
Awesome. Cody,
So
welcome. Would love to hear what's on your mind tonight.
Okay. I guess my first question, you talked about like setting up if we sign up for this career accelerator program,
Yep.
There's like packages that you would like set up. Is there like a
Yep.
range of prices that I could expect? Just to
Yes.
get an
Yeah.
idea.
So there's a range, and it kind of depends on where people are at and what they're doing. But again, I don't get into that unless I really feel like I can help. And so
Okay.
yeah, if you want to, if that's a big deal before even scheduling a call, like just send me a personalized message. But
I can schedule a call.
yeah, cool. Love to talk through that and see if that's a fit for you. And usually there's ways we can make that work, because I know sometimes going through stuff like finances can be tied in the short term. for various reasons. And so there's usually ways we can make that work for you too. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Cody. Yeah, what other questions? You can ask about the program itself, or really I just want to say, hey, if you've got something you're trying to deal with, a challenge, something you're facing, we can use this time to, hey, how can we think about this a little bit differently and do a little live coaching for you too. I'm actually blessed. We have the benefit of a couple of people who are in the program right now. I know Glenn, you're driving. Raul's here. Raul, we've worked together for a little while. If you'd be willing to just share a little bit about what your experience has been
Yeah,
like.
I was just sorry, my my camera's back and forth. I have to get a new
Yeah, sure.
light because I keep disappearing. But anyway,
Yeah.
the I've always felt and I've been in this industry 35, 40 years that we need mentors, we need coaches. I've had some coaches before, but Jeff is the first one that I've had with an engineering technical background. So I can relate to him because my needs or what I want to do in the career is probably different. I'm very satisfied where I
Yeah.
am now in my current company, and I'm really looking for more board of director positions, advisory positions, things of that. More interested in mentoring and coaching. The coaching individuals in my industry that are mid to senior level managers, construction managers, folks like that. That's what I'm extremely interested in. And I mentor a number of people. However, I want to take a course in coaching because there's definitely a difference between coaching and mentoring and things that I could
Yes.
provide that actually would even probably make me more attractive to companies. Because not only you on a board of directors, you're advising the company, but you're finding out more and more that companies are asking you to mentor and or coach some of their mid to senior level people. They want to bring your experiences in and help them. And that's something I'm all for. So, I recognize there are gaps, but I've committed, to work with Jeff long term to see this through. I mean, it's not going as fast as I want because I'm finding out I kind of need things a little bit more. And I know Jeff has an upcoming retreat that I signed up for. I'm looking forward to that for over 2 days. And I think I'll learn a lot more. And we're looking forward to that in September. But, I've always felt that I early in my career, I should have had look for an engineer or actually look for a coach to help me get started in my younger days. And, it took me a long time to figure out, and I got mentors late. I made the mistakes, still make the mistakes. And, I kind of probably could have been better off, but I'm in a space now. I'm pretty happy where I am and, very fortunate to have breaks and to have met Jeff. And, he's definitely someone you can bounce things off. And I kind of I put in the box that I said this was an excellent overview of where we need to go and how we need to get there, but the key is, like I said, you got to commit to the process and to be there in the moment. So
Yeah,
that's all
there's
I
a
want to
process.
say.
And thanks for sharing that, Raul. And Raul's a great example of like, hey, everyone who comes into the program again is looking for something different. Raul wasn't looking to, hey, I gotta get a new job as soon as possible. Like, hey, I'm pretty happy where I am, but I also want to see another stage, get into a board of director position, also recognize there's some internal transformation for him and how he goes about doing things. And Raul's also taught me a lot in the time that we worked together. I really enjoyed that relationship and really looking forward to getting together in person. I do also, like he was saying, I'm running a retreat in the fall, which I'm pretty excited about. Cody, we're actually doing it in the Salt Lake area in Utah. We want to talk about that as well, but yeah, excited about getting together with some people in person in a much more intimate but in-depth setting. So thanks, Raul. And just a little bit in Glenn, I don't even know if you can unmute it all, but Glenn's story is interesting. Came to me fairly recently, probably only been 2 or 3 months that Glenn and I have been working together. But he, really experienced engineer, has dozens, over 50 patents to his name, but was having a hard time. One reason, because he never finished an actual engineering degree, but man, can he design in a really amazing fashion. And so there's a real strategy shift for him. Instead of, hey, just putting in a bunch of applications where they filter him out real quick because he didn't have an degree in the resume, but to a much more storytelling approach and connecting with people and sharing more on LinkedIn and doing some other things. And people are like, hey, looks like you've done some real stuff. We need someone who can solve those sorts of problems. And ended up with multiple interviews and multiple types of things, and just accepted a role last week, and I'm really excited for him. So anyway, this is some of the stuff and where we personalize where you're at and what you need, because not the same stuff doesn't work exactly for everyone. We work on principles, and I personalize that to you, what you need and what are the roadblocks and bottlenecks we need to break through. So, right. Any other questions about the program or any of the principles or ideas that we talked about today? Or just you want to bring up, hey, I'm struggling with this. Any thoughts for me?
So I've got a question.
Hey, Bart. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where's a good place or to find salary information?
Yeah, so there's a few that I'll typically use. In your world, because I know you're gonna chat it in software, levels.fyi is pretty helpful. It especially is good for benchmarking like the larger companies. And what it does is it benchmarks it across, just the easy names like Amazon and Microsoft and Google and whatnot. And like, hey, what does this level of employee, what does a staff engineer versus a level 6 at Amazon, like what do those mean and how do those track across the different things? And so what's the ranges of those salaries there? It's not as good in other, it's got the most data in the software world, but other places, salary.com, Glassdoor has some good data as well. And there are others, but those are the places that I'll typically use. And then you can find sometimes like cost of living calculators if there was a relocation that someone was considering. You can say, hey, this amount of money, is about the same as this much somewhere else, because not all things are the same. Luckily, I think it's a good thing for transparency as more and more states are requiring that companies, when they post job postings, also post the salary range. I think that's helpful, and you can use that as a base too when they do that. Although some companies, their ranges are unhelpful because it may be, hey, anywhere from 90,000 to 220,000. Like, okay, well, that's not helpful. That's not what the real range is, but so those are just a few ideas there for you, Bart, on the salary range stuff. Hopefully that's helpful for you.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's a little different. There are a few others that are more useful if you're thinking like startups, right? And a lot of startups will include equity things, and we're thinking not just salary, but like total compensation. That's a whole discussion. Or even like some of those larger companies like an Amazon might pay some of their stuff in stock called RSUs. And so got to look at some of that stuff too. Yeah. Glassdoor is good because a lot of times I'll also tell you about like the other like benefits like insurance and stuff if the company's large enough where there's enough people who put in that data. So that's cool too. Yeah, good question.
Sweet, thanks.
Yep. How else can I help tonight? Okay, just checking. Cody, if you were planning to, I haven't seen a call request come through. But maybe you're planning to do that after we finish off here. And Adam, you haven't chatted at all. Any questions from you or things you noticed from our session tonight?
No, just possibly thinking about setting up a call.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you just think about it, go ahead and do it. I mean, this call's free. There's no obligation. I promise I'm not a hard sales guy. I really just want to do that as and hope that just like tonight, that call gives you some more clarity around where you need to go and personalize that a little bit more to you and your experience. And then we can see if the program's a good fit for you. If it is, great. If not, that's totally cool too. Just want to offer that as a helpful experience for you. So would love to see you there if you can make it and find a time that works for you. Okay.
How long do your calls usually last? It looks like it's every 30 minutes. Is it usually
Yeah.
just go 30 minutes?
Yeah, we book for 30 minutes. Sometimes we go a little longer if we need to, but yeah, we
Okay.
schedule for about 30 minutes.